said party at your door, and then you guys were like, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we said, yes, it's available. The name's available. We've been talking about this for 2 years. Let's just do it.
So what steps did you take to actually get started? Did you start a website? Did you start creating? How did that process work? Like, what do you know what to do next? How do you know?
So at this point, Heather had a kid and she was working part-time, and I had 2 kids. Really little young kids, because mine are 19 months apart. So then I was working part-time, not doing this, doing something else. And I took a week vacation. I made all of our we launched, I think, with 5 themes. Mm-hmm. I just like did it all on my week vacation. And then we met at Whole Foods and we just started listing things on Etsy. And we were just like, well, let's just see what happens.
I forgot about that Whole Foods meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we put it up there, just see what happens. And then it's just kind of taken on a life of its own, really, since then.
Okay, so you decided on 5 themes. And so, Shanti, have you always been creative? Like, did you enjoy doing all that kind of thing? It sounds like you did, because you did the hostessing for the baby shower.
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I went to sewing camp as a little kid. Like, I was always like, even in high school, I like made some of my own formal dresses. So I was always sewing and I was always crafting. Yeah. But I never thought I'd do it as a business. But I think most people think that. They don't think that like you will make a living off of doing crafts, because like that just seems like a dream come true, right?
Right.
So yeah, I was always really crafty, and it wasn't until I moved to Austin after college that I realized I really liked throwing over the top parties. So like Heather's baby shower was pretty over the top, and awesome. not like expensive, elaborate. Like I just like to transform the room into like an experience. So besides her party, which was really big, and it was mermaid, it was like a beach theme. So there was just like lots of ocean and
paper jellyfish and like paper lanterns turned into fish. It was amazing.
Yeah. The other one that I did was I threw a ridiculously over the top elf themed party, like the movie Elf.
Oh.
Like Buddy the Elf.
Yeah.
It was really crazy. And I didn't realize how over the top it was until my husband and I went to a wedding, and someone that we did not know stopped us and said, "Are you guys the elves? Do you throw an elf party?" And I was like, oh my gosh, who are you? And how do you even know? And so, yeah, it was kind of like, I'm like, if I like to throw these parties, other people have to too, right? And so we just kind of went from there.
Okay, so how do you, your Party in a Box, you created the 5 themes. How big are these themes? I mean, how many items go into one of these themes? Because it seems like what you're describing in it with an over-the-top party, it seems like you would have a ton of stuff in there. Is it truly a box? Is it a bag? What's all involved? I'm tired of thinking about it.
So it's been a lot of trial and error to see like what people want and how they want it. And we didn't actually we started out as themed party decor, which we are still themed party decor. We didn't realize that the personalization aspect of it was going to be what people really wanted. Yeah. So instead of just doing a really cute themed mermaid banner, we realized people wanted a mermaid banner that said, "Happy birthday, Heather." Mm-hmm. Like they want that extra thing on it that makes it personalized. And the same thing with confetti and cupcake toppers. People want the name added or the age added or a custom color. So we realized that it's also the customization aspect that was a big selling point for the things. We do offer an entire theme in a box, so you can come to a party bundle, But what we found is that most people want to pick and choose a la carte. So we have some people that have come to us and said, I have $20 for party decorations. Like, what can you do for me? And we'll put together like what we can do, your biggest bang for your buck of $20, which is normally like cupcake toppers and confetti and maybe a centerpiece or something like that.
Yeah.
We've also had people come to us and say, I have $500 for a 3-year-old birthday party. And we do a huge thing where we do all the party favors, all the decor, everything. So they literally add cupcakes and it's done.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome. So that, that really does make sense when you think about social media and Instagram and just what we're into. We do like customization. People love that personalized party and like the cake toppers, you see those everywhere and the banners and stuff. So that does make sense and smart of you to pivot or at least add on and have that customization. And I think it's great that someone can say, I have $20. What can you do to make it special? Because not everybody either has the talent to do it or the time, and then I've been in a situation and you guys, well, probably not you guys, but I've had friends where you get started and you're really excited and you get started and there's glue everywhere and glitter and paper. And then you're like, I'm not having fun anymore doing this. And so then it's like a defeating feeling. And so you guys are really solving that problem, aren't you? You're just like, okay, well, we'll do it for you. But how do you guys prevent that feeling for yourselves? Because it sounds like it can be super elaborate and then also super quick, which those projects would be easier and more fun. You're like, in and out and ship it off. But how do you prevent yourself from getting that fatigued feeling? Or do you just love it?
Well, we do love it. But I think, for me personally, working the days that we get to work together in the studio really helps. Like, even if we're just swamped and we're looking at the clock and thinking there's no way we're going to get these out by the time the post office closes, it's just nice to be working with your friend. I mean, we laugh the whole time. We listen to the music we like. So that helps a lot with that burnout feeling. But I think also just knowing that all the work we're doing is to help build this thing that we started from just this kind of idea one day. So we're not, busting our butts to make somebody else more successful. We're doing this thing that's building it for us and for our families. And that's really rewarding. And it's a nice, reminder to keep in your head the whole time when you're exhausted and you think, I cannot literally pull another sheet of confetti off of this machine. And then you find a way to do it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shanti.
I think that, the days we work, we at this stage in our life, we are balancing two kinds of burnout. I think as the business grows, you do have business burnout, but we also have stay-at-home mom burnout. I mean, she just had her second. She's 8 weeks?
8 weeks old, yeah.
So
Congratulations.
This is actually her first day back in the studio. She's been working from home, but today is my first day with her in the studio. So she just had her second, and her oldest is turning 4 this weekend, and my oldest is turning 5 next week, and I have a 3-year-old. And so we do have them in a part-time preschool, and we're lucky enough to have grandmas close to help tag team if we need it. But we are still moms. If a kid needs something, they're here with us and we go do that, and the order gets pushed off another 4 hours or another 10 minutes or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it gives us a purpose besides, and we both love being moms and we both love our kids, but sometimes you need something else besides just that. You need to be needed by something else besides just your kids, I think. Mm-hmm. And that is also what this is definitely for us.
I totally agree with you. I remember, yes, the stay-at-home mom burnout. I had 3 under the age of 3, and so I totally get it. And and you do, when you're a creative person, you do need to be doing something else at the same time, because then I found for myself, and I don't know if you guys got into this at all before you started the business, but you get almost resentful in a way because you don't feel like you don't have that purpose. And you also feel guilty because you have this creative thing that you want to do, whatever it is, knitting scarves or something, while the kids are watching, Nemo. That's actually a real example from my life. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what could I do with this? How could I sell this? How could I, make this purposeful? So there's a lot that goes into it. So are you guys now not doing the side jobs, the part-time jobs that you were doing before?
Right. We both were able to leave those and do this. I mean, essentially full time, because, working from home, you're always doing it. So yeah.
Oh, that's so inspirational. So tell me about what happened after you put those themes on Etsy. Did you just stay on Etsy and did you get sales right away? Did you have to market very much? How did that process all work?
I think that I do feel a little bit like this business has just taken on feet of its own, and we've been playing catch up a little bit. And I say that because my husband and I joke that I start businesses for a living. I've started a lot of businesses that didn't take off or that weren't scalable or sustainable. And this is the first one. And I think just having all of those experience have led into this, which has led to why this has been created in the way that it is. Scalability was a huge thing for me, especially with little kids. You aren't just going to work anymore. Like, you don't have enough hours in the day, so you have to make sure things are streamlined. So we started out just on Etsy, and we had a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a Twitter page, Pinterest page. We did get all of those secured up front with our name because my past is in marketing, so I know that's very important to have all of those streamlined. So we did that, and then we kind of have just done what we can. It's a continual balancing act of like trying to follow best practices, but also trying to get orders out the door and just doing the bare minimum to keep up with best practices. And we know that eventually we'll be able to do all those things better because eventually they'll be in school, right? That's what I just keep telling them. Yeah. Eventually they'll be in school and we'll have more time. So we'll do it better then. And so, yeah, it's always balancing doing the best you can and having a good brand, but also knowing like at some point you just have to be like, well, that's the best we can do right now. So we went from Etsy and we had all of our social media. Then last summer, we built out our standalone website. So we also sell at partyatyourdoor.com. And then from there, we were accepted into the Pinterest Buyable Pins program. So you can actually shop directly on Pinterest now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So we do sell on Pinterest. And then just in the last 4 months, we have started listing things on Amazon Handmade.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So we're starting to sell things on Amazon as well. So yeah, we're expanding the places that we're selling, which has also increased our revenue too.
And I would say being able to buy through Pinterest, that we saw sales just went insane immediately, and we were not really prepared for that. It was just one of those things where let's see what happens, and then it happened big time.
That's the thing I tell people about Pinterest. I mean, because it can send just as much traffic as Google or even more in some cases to your websites. And that the fact that you guys have the buyable pins, I mean, I think that's great. Who takes the photographs? Because Pinterest and Instagram are all, focused on image and stuff. Do you guys do that yourselves or do you have someone professionally come in for you?
We do it here in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do it all ourselves. Some mostly for social media, it's mostly from our phones. Mm-hmm. For our listings on our website, I do get out the SLR camera that I have, the big one. I would eventually love to have someone else take the photos. It's actually my least favorite part of the job. Yeah. But eventually. It's one of those things, eventually it'll happen.
So, okay, so it looks like you're in your studio now, and so before we started recording, you said that you had built this out. So this is a recent thing for you. So tell us a little bit about that.
The studio build out is all thanks to Shanti's dad and her husband. I mean, like the minute Shanti's dad retired, she was like, "Can you come down here and turn the garage into a studio?" And I mean, the efficiency with which we can get things done, it's night and day different from when she was literally working in her bedroom closet on the sewing machine or the paper cutter that was on the desk in their bedroom. And then I would be in her living room and she would yell out like, "Okay, come get this piece." And then I'd, run grab it. And it was just, I mean, organized chaos for sure. And now it's so streamlined. It's amazing how much more we can get done now.
Yeah, and that's part of it too. I mean, I can see behind you, you guys have organized everything's in little containers and stuff. So that is really, really part of it too. I think with a lot of makers, I'm pretty disorganized and it takes me like forever to clean stuff up. But so it's inspiring that you just made it work. You figured out you needed a studio. You're in your garage, which is awesome. And that's the way to, as you grow and you get bigger, you can rent out a space. But I want people to know that they can just do with what they have and carve out the time, carve out the space, and just work with what you've got in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we started really small because we didn't know what would happen. And we've just added what we've needed to when we need to do it. Mm-hmm. So we went from like a little paper die cutter to an industrial die cutter. We've gone to like the printer that my husband and I have had for like 8 years to, we just bought like a professional printer. We, maybe 4 months ago on this side of the studio, my husband and I built a plywood photo backdrop that we have like faux brick wallpaper over. So all of those things have kind of come as we needed them and as we could afford them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I love this. You're reinvesting back into the business, doing what you need to do to grow. And so, I mean, are your orders, I mean, you're working every day, it sounds like. And is this a busy season for you? Is it busier like wedding season, or is it just always consistent?
We're consistently busy. Wedding season was insane.
We did not expect that.
No, we created some engagement and wedding decorations for some good friends of ours who were getting married. We threw them an engagement party, and then we listed those items, and it never stopped. I mean,
oh wow!
We did so many of these banners. It says "Pop the champagne, she's changing her name." Oh. We got so many orders for it that Shanti just started cutting like 30 at a time, and I would take them home and assemble them because I knew the order was going to come in. So yeah, graduation and wedding season was bonkers. I mean, and good. It's nice to have that worry that you like have too many orders that you don't know how you're going to get them out the door. But
yeah, we all want that, right? Yes.
Yeah. And then it might slow down a little. And then when the holidays start, we have some felt Christmas trees, like for toddlers that you can put on your wall, and the felt ornaments stick on their own. And we will get a million orders for that. So we know we're ramping up for that. That's coming soon.
Oh my goodness. I think it's just so awesome. You've expanded your distribution, you're scaling your business and growing. And it sounds like you have plans to even go bigger. It sounds like in the future when the kids are in school. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of growing its own. So we kind of just been following it.
Yes.
We do, besides all the custom stuff, and this actually started last year about this time, we do have a line of wholesale products or retail products it is an actual party in a box that you could go and pick up off the shelf at a retailer. And that is something that like we are just now getting to a point a year later that we can start pitching that to the stores. And so that's one thing that we have expanded in a totally different direction. So not only are we expanding where we're selling our custom decor, we're also trying to expand where you can buy in our product line just in general.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not, we don't want to be slaving away till midnight and 1 a.m. for the rest of our lives in our garage. So like we would like to get to the point where we also can continue to grow and be fulfilled and be happy, but also probably have regular employees to take some of the work and pressure off of us.
So you don't really need to, at this point, it's growing kind of on its own. You're following after it. You're doing what needs to be done. So you're not really needing at the moment to use like Instagram to promote. Is that right? Or you're just there for fun and showcasing and things like that. But are you getting any business much from it at this point?
We do get some. I find that when we post an Instagram story, we like to show kind of the progression of maybe an order from start to finish, how it gets put together. And we will get a lot of messages from that saying, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this theme and I can't find it anywhere. What can you do for me? And then I'll direct them over to Etsy to send a message there so we can talk back and forth about specifics and put together, a box and a quote for them that way. And through Instagram, we kind of have a little community where other moms who work from home and have Etsy shops, we support each other. We like and comment, and we get so familiar with each other and the products that we're selling that it becomes easy to refer someone. So if like we have a friend or someone on Facebook that's like, oh, I'm looking for a collegiate onesie and a matching bow. Who does that? I can be like, oh, I know exactly who does that, and send them, to their page, and they do the same for us. And it's been really nice. It's nice to have people who can relate to what you're doing, working so hard and being a mom. And it's nice to share their pages.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys, I wasn't sure if it was collaborating with other companies, because I did notice a lot of shout outs and things like that. So, but it sounds like you're just you're all helping each other. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I joke, it's not even a joke. It is real life. It takes a village to raise kids, but it takes a village to grow a business. Yeah. Like, we would not be where we are without the help of even if it's people taking care of our kids because we have a rush order we have to get out, or helping us with sometimes I will seriously call my sister-in-law and be like, can you please come over and help me cut whatever I need to cut, or play with the kids so I can work, or just it gets lonely also being an entrepreneur working from the house. And so it's nice if you're coming from the corporate world, you're used to having lunches with people and having familiar faces every day and looking presentable, which we don't most days. We don't. And so it's nice to have, even though they're a virtual village, it's also nice to have those people that, can talk to you, and they're kind of like your office mates.
Yeah.
So what advice would you guys have for people who are on the fence about maybe starting an Etsy shop or going for it, or they have an idea? What would you suggest would either be the first steps for them or just advice in general?
Oh, giving advice. I think if like us, you talked about it for long enough, you knew you wanted to do it. If it doesn't leave your mind and you keep revisiting it, then I say just do it. I mean, that's what we did. And, initially the financial cost up front is not that much for Etsy. So start there and and see how it goes. We had no idea. Shanti's had an Etsy shop before. I haven't. So I really had no expectations going in. And after a while, she started saying, you know what, this is actually kind of going somewhere. And I was like, oh, awesome. It was good to hear from someone who had done it before. I think we both surprised ourselves with how it took off. I definitely don't regret, even on the late nights, I don't regret that we finally just did it.
Yeah, I would say, and this is, a lot of people ask this question, whether it be in Facebook groups that we're in or anything, they say it seems so overwhelming to start. And everyone who has done it will say, just start. Your pictures don't have to be perfect. Your listings don't have to be perfect. I mean, we went for a whole 8 months before a customer who also ran an Etsy shop messaged us and was like, I hope I don't step on your guys' toes, but please read this blog post that I've written specifically for Etsy people. You will sell so much more if you take a few photo tips and change your SEO. And those are things that we hadn't even had time or like had crossed our minds.
Yeah.
And at first we were both like, oh,
who are
what?
you? Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. So I went and read the and I was like, oh, yeah, we're doing this like kind of really wrong. And this is coming from someone who has owned a successful Etsy shop. And I was like, we could be doing it so much better. And so we went through, and this was like 8 months in, we went through and we redid all of our listings. I redid all of our photos, and we did a lot of research on Etsy SEO and how to really help with that. And for a solid 8 months, we were seeing between a 50 to a 200% and over, like month over month growth. Wow. Only because of that. Like nothing else changed besides our photos and our SEO. But when we launched, we didn't worry about any of that. No. And we were still getting sales. So yeah, start small where you can, and then continually work towards making your listings better. Maybe trying to do an extra social media post this week. Like have long-term goals, but also have very realistic short-term goals. Because the long-term goals seem overwhelming.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh my goodness, that's such good advice. I love it. And I think you're so right about the images and the SEO. And it doesn't take that long to go into it, but you don't know what you don't know. Like at first you don't even know to ask that question, or that's even a thing, like Etsy SEO. I thought that was a Google thing, so people are learning new things, but like you said, you just went for it. And that's what I hope my community gets out of it, is just to get started, because if you don't, you'll regret it down the road. I mean, you two could still be in your part-time jobs. You've got more kids now in the mix than you had when you started. And so it's like, you'd be even more like, oh, here's that thing that I keep thinking about, but you took action. And I think that's really inspiring, and I'm excited about your success for sure. So before we wrap up, I do have a surprise question, and I'm excited about your answer because I think it's going to be fun. So if you guys get invited to a potluck party, let's say it's a beautiful Austin afternoon, what are you guys bringing to the party?
Food questions are my favorite. God, knowing me, I'm probably going to try to sneak a s'mores themed dessert in there somewhere. Even if it's not the traditional, like sticking the marshmallows on the fire, I'm going to figure out a way to get marshmallows and chocolate to the party for sure.
Yeah, Heather is s'mores everything. Like she has on her personal Pinterest, she just has a board for s'mores related dishes. I don't know, maybe it's my Midwest upbringing, but I'm really big on dips. I do have this, it's actually called funky corn dip, which is also very so Midwestern, good. But it is so good. It's like a hearty filling dip.
It is unapologetically like fattening and disgusting, but like in the best way. And she brought it to my baby shower. In fact, I was like, bring that dip. It's so good.
And even though it's a very Midwest dip, I mean, it's like Mexican dip that has mayonnaise in it. It's like so Midwestern. It has mayonnaise in it. That also really complements like our Austin, Texas, like you're going to have chips and salsa and queso and guac at every gathering.
Every event.
So just like a really nice complimentary, kind of a little more hearty to that. So yeah, that's definitely.
Oh, I love it, you guys. I have a question about the s'mores. So I live in the Northwest, and so we don't get to, do the roasting on the fire all the time, just in the summer. So we microwave ours in the winter time. So you're okay. That's my favorite way to do it.
Yeah, it's so fast. And I have a gas burning stove. So there has been many times I've just cranked the stove on and like stuck a marshmallow over it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, you guys have been a blast. It's been so nice to meet you. Do you have anything else that you would like to share or add? And also where do you want to send everyone online?
We're everywhere.
Party at your door.
Yeah, you can literally find us anywhere. So partyatyourdoor.com is our standalone website. And then from there, it links out, everywhere.
Okay.
And so you can find us on all the social medias. We also have a blog that we try to post to as much as time allows us to.
Yeah, I typically do the blog posts, but I've been in newborn, baby craziness. So we haven't blogged in a little while, but we're going to pick that back up.
But you can, people can find us on Instagram. We're there every day. Facebook. You can email us. You can text me. I'm very surprised how many people just find, because now I'm telling the whole world, my personal cell phone number is our business number, which is on our website. And I'm very surprised how many customers text me in the middle of the night and they're like, I need this banner by XYZ date. And I'm like, wow, that is millennials. That is a millennial thing. Growing up, we would have never found a business and assumed we could text them. But the flip side is I really love it. I would rather text somebody than email them any day. So
Yeah.
we're literally everywhere. You can even text me if you want.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Okay, well, Heather, Shanti, it's been so great. Thank you so much for spending time with me and my community. I'm excited to share this with everyone. It was so good to meet you. Thank you so much.
You too.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
too.
for having us.